Hello, today we're trying a different format on our video notes. I appreciate your feedback, and I've been trying to do things like adjusting the volume levels and trying to do different things. Now I'm going to kind of make things a little larger on the screen, I hope, for you. So let's go ahead and get into this. Systems Day 1, what we're learning is how to take multiple equations and figure out x and y coordinates that work for both equations. And there are three possibilities. One is that you could have no coordinates that work for any of them. That would be an example of parallel lines. You could have all coordinates work for them, which means you would have the exact same graph. And you could have just one coordinate, which means you have two distinct graphs, but there is one coordinate that will satisfy both x and y in there. So without further ado, let's get on. Systems Day 1 notes. I will identify variables and create equations to answer real-life questions. Our first step is going to be finding the variables and creating equations. We're not going to solve today. So, it appears that I have skipped one. Let's go back here. Here we go. Melting sells 1/2 gallon containers of frozen yogurt for $4 each and 1 gallon containers for $7 each. So we're asked to define variables for the number of gallon containers and the number of, or that should say half-gallon containers. Let me go ahead and correct that for you. Oh, that should say 1/2 gallon containers. All right, and for the number of 1 gallon containers sold. So what they're asking us to do is just create a variable. Well, I'm going to say H will equal the number of half-gallon containers. And go ahead and write that in the first space there. H will equal the number of half-gallon containers. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to pick G will equal the number of gallon containers. G will equal the number of gallon containers. All right. Well, just looking at that first part, there's nothing we can really do with it equation-wise because we don't have any totals. Well, let's look down here just below that second variable. One day, Mel sells a total of 50 containers of yogurt for a total of $287. So what I want you to start looking for is whenever you see totals, if you have a highlighter, go ahead and highlight those. So here's another thing, a total of 50 containers. All right, whenever you see those totals, what you can do with that is you can go ahead, I'm going to do the total of 50, I'm going to go ahead and put equals 50, and then over here where it says a total of 287, I'm going to put equals 287. So let's look up here. This is 50, and then it says containers of yogurt. Well, we already know that if we add H and G, the number of half gallons I sell plus the number of gallons that I sell, it will equal 50. Now we know that, so we can have our equation. Now here we want to look at this. It says he gets a total of $287. Well, we can't just put H and G because we need to assign how much each of those cost. So know that if this is money here, we need to be comparing money on the left side. So we need to go back up, and we see that we have $4 for the half gallons and $7 for these. So now it's simply a matter of 4 times the number of half gallons plus 7 times the number of gallons equals $287. So we're comparing money here, and money here. All right, there's another type that we can see, and excuse me, This second one is a little bit different because we're looking at a different way of setting things up. We're comparing two plans with two variables in each. Number two, a scuba diving resort hotel offers divers two plans. Plan A gives 3 nights lodging and 4 dives. Plan B gives 5 nights lodging and 8 dives. So it's asking us, number two, define variables for the number of dollars they charge per night and for the number of dollars they charge per dive. All right, so I'm going to use L will equal the amount for each night of lodging. So L will be my cost for lodging, and D will be the amount for each dive. All right, so we can't do anything with the information we have yet. We need a little more, so look down here to B. A price list comes out on which Plan A costs $440. So here we have a final cost right here, cost $440. Plan B costs $780. So here are the two totals that we need so that we can write. Let me go ahead and we're going to put in here equals 440 and then equals 780. All right, so Plan A, I need to go back up to the first part, gives 3 nights of lodging. So 3 times the cost of lodging plus 4 times the cost of dives equals $440. Plan B gives 5 nights lodging and 8 dives, and it costs $780. Notice we're not solving any of these today. Right now, all we're doing is identifying the variables and setting up the equations. All right, during 1 week of playing basketball, Manu Ginobili hit 30 shots from the floor. Okay, there's one of our totals, 30 shots. That's the total number of shots he makes, and scored 68 points. Okay, that's the total number of points. So each shot was a 2-point or a 3-point shot. Write a system of equations which could be used to find the number of each shot Manu made. So just to make it easy, I'm going to say A will be the number of 2-pointers, and B will be the number of 3-pointers. So over here, I'm going to set up my first equation is going to be equals 30, and this one will be equals 68. All right, so 30 is just the number of shots. Well, this is number of shots, this is number of shots, so we're comparing the same thing on the left as on the right. Now, 68 is points, so if we're equaling points here, we have to have something with points here, and so we know that it's 2 points for each 2-pointer plus 3 points for each 3-pointer equals 68. That's all there is to it. That's it. Number 4, a rectangle is 7 inches longer than it is wide. If the perimeter is 72 inches, how long is the rectangle? Write a system that could be used to find the length of the rectangle. All right, so at first blush, it looks like the only thing we have for a total is this right here. However, we need to look for other things, and this says a rectangle is 7 inches longer than it is wide. So what we need to do is we need to come up with a whole equation based on this, and this is a little bit different way of doing it. All right, I always recommend, no, we're not ending the show yet. I always recommend that if you have something with shapes, draw the picture. So I'm going to say this is the width and this is the length. So our variable W will equal the width and L will equal the length. And that seems to be pretty easy for most people to understand. Now, here this says a rectangle is 7 inches longer than it is wide. So which is the wider part? The length or the width? Hopefully you said the length. So I can say the length equals W plus 7. Does that make sense to you? The length is 7 inches longer than the width. Alright? So, we also need to memorize the perimeter formula, which is perimeter equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. You might also use perimeter equals 2 times L plus W. But for our purposes today, what we're going to do is we're going to use this first one here. And I know the perimeter, that's this total here, 72 inches. It says the perimeter is 72. So I can write 72 in place of the perimeter. And then I just write out the rest of the formula because I don't know what L is and I don't know what W is just yet. That's it. Alright. Another type that we would have would be money problems like number 5. Mark has $4.95. That's a total. We know that's how much he has. He has 3 times as many dimes as quarters. Write a system of equations that could be used to find Q, the number of quarters, and D, the number of dimes. So they tell us what our variables are, Q and D. So Q equals the number of quarters, and D equals the number of dimes. Alright, so I can do equals 495 here, and since this is money or value, Q is simply the number of quarters. We need to put in how much that quarter is worth. So since this over here is talking about dollars, we're going to put our quarters in terms of dollars. It's 0.25 Q plus, and then dimes are worth 10 cents. And I know many of you are going to want to put in, let me show you right here, 0.10. Now, I guess you can do that, but the best way to write that is going to be 0.1 because we don't need the 0. 0.1 D equals 495. Now, the second equation comes right here. He has 3 times as many dimes as quarters. So what does he have more of? He has more dimes. So we're going to put that here. The dimes equals 3 times the number of quarters. That's our second equation. Remember, we're not solving. We don't know how many of each he has. That will come later. Right now, we're just setting these up. All right. So that looks like the end of it. Have fun and have a great day.